Most people think domination requires aggression. They're wrong. In reality, the most dangerous forms of control are so subtle you don't realize they're happening until the interaction is over, and you've already lost. If you want to stop being a pawn in other people's games, you need to recognize these 7 hidden signals of conversational dominance. Here are 7 signs someone is trying to dominate you in a conversation. Conversational dominance refers to subtle behaviors people use to gain power or control in social interactions. It doesn't always involve yelling or arguing. Sometimes it's hidden in small habits, tone, and timing. Once you recognize these signs, you'll start noticing them everywhere. Sign 1. They constantly interrupt you. You start explaining something, but before you even finish your sentence, they cut in. At first, it might seem accidental, but when someone repeatedly interrupts, it sends a clear signal: my voice matters more than yours. Over time, this trains you to talk less and listen more. Sign 2. They turn every topic back to themselves. You talk about your experience, but somehow the conversation always comes back to them. You mention your weekend, and suddenly it becomes a story about theirs. This tactic subtly shifts the spotlight, and in conversations, whoever controls the spotlight controls the interaction. Sign 3. They dismiss your ideas quickly. When you share an opinion, they respond with phrases like, "That doesn't make sense." "Not really. That wouldn't work." They rarely explore your ideas. Instead, they shut them down quickly. This creates an invisible hierarchy where their thoughts appear more valuable than yours. Sign 4. They use long monologues. Another common dominance tactic is talking and talking and talking. They rarely pause for input. The conversation becomes more like a speech than a dialogue. This technique floods the conversation with their perspective, leaving little room for yours. Sign 5. They correct you publicly. Some people love pointing out small mistakes in front of others. Maybe you misremember a date or a detail, and they immediately jump in to correct you. Even if the correction is minor, the psychological message is powerful. They position themselves as the authority. Sign 6. They control the pace of the conversation. Watch how they handle silence. If you pause for a second, they immediately fill the gap. They speak quickly, change topics rapidly, and rarely allow reflection. By controlling the rhythm of the conversation, they control how others participate. Sign 7. They subtly challenge your status. This can appear as sarcasm, subtle jokes, or small dismissive comments. For example, "Oh, you think you know about that? Are you sure about that?" These small challenges create doubt and pressure, and when someone feels the need to defend themselves, the other person automatically gains the upper hand. The insight in close behavioral research shows that most of these power plays happen subconsciously. People negotiate status without even realizing it. But here's the secret: influence only works when it's invisible. Once you spot these patterns, their power over you disappears. Remember, the most powerful people in the room are rarely the loudest. In fact, the true masters of influence use a completely different strategy. The game of influence is always being played. Now you know the rules. If you're ready to stop being a spectator and start mastering the architecture of human interaction, join the stratagem, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next briefing.